Leon picked up the black spider and observed it for a while, only to find that it was just an ordinary toy spider. Apart from feeling that it was very furry, he couldn't see anything frightening about this toy spider. He turned around with a smile on his face and handed the toy to Rosweiss with a comforting look. "It's just a toy spider. There's nothing to be afraid of." However, even as a toy spider, Rosweiss still felt very scared. She immediately stepped back, closed her eyes tightly, turned her head to the side, and placed her hand in front of her. She tried to refuse its approach. She let out a scream. Ah! Rosa, who was gradually losing her sanity due to fear, could no longer tolerate this toy. She looked at Leon with angry eyes and gathered purple dragon flame in her hand. She lifted her hand and aimed at the toy spider in his hand. She said very angrily, "Whether it's true or false, let it disappear." As soon as he saw Rosweiss getting serious, Leon became a little nervous. He quickly turned his back to her and protected the toy in his arms. He was worried that if the emotionally unstable Rosweiss fired dragon flame at him, not only would he be burned by it, but the entire room would also be engulfed in flames. He tried to persuade her not to launch the dragon flame. Calm down, Leon'll throw it outside." Leon found an open window and forcefully threw the toy spider out of it. Then he clapped his hands and brushed away the dust. He closed his eyes and turned around, showing a smile to Rosweiss. "Okay, the spider has been thrown away. You can go to sleep now." Seeing that the spider was no longer in the room, Rosweiss calmed down and slowly extinguished the dragon flame in her hand. She didn't immediately answer Leon's words. She lowered her head with a slight blush on her cheeks, as if she was a bit shy about the situation just now. Leon breathed a sigh of relief when he noticed that Rosweiss's emotions were no longer as excited. He was quite scared by her reaction just now. Being able to release the toy spider and scare her like this, he could only think of one person. After all, everything in this room was prepared by her. He sighed helplessly and silently said in his heart, "This spider should also be part of her sister's plan, right?" In order to expose the fearful and vulnerable side of Rosweiss, although Rosweiss saw Leon throw the spider outside with her own eyes, she still felt a little scared about the situation just now. She pursed her lips, lowered her eyebrows, and looked away. She seemed too scared to look in the direction where Leon was. Rosa pondered for a moment, then she knelt on the bed and placed her hands between her legs. She lifted her head, looked at Leon with a shy expression, and said to him, "I'll sleep on the inside and you sleep on the outside, is that okay?" She was worried that similar situations might occur while sleeping, so she planned to switch positions with him. Leon showed her a relaxed smile. Without hesitation, he agreed to Rosweiss's request. "No problem, you can sleep anywhere you want." He sat up and down on the bed and spread out his hands to point to the position on the bed, indicating that Rosweiss could sleep towards the inside. After deciding on their sleeping position, Leon took off his coat, placed it next to him, and climbed onto the waterbed. He lay down on the bed with Rosweiss and helped cover them with a blanket, ready to sleep. However, although experiencing the thrilling event just now, how could they fall asleep so quickly? So Leon and Rosa stared blankly at the ceiling with their eyes wide open, not saying a word. Perhaps it was their first time sleeping together, and their faces were tinged with a slight blush. They had no drowsiness at all. Leon seemed to be worried that Rosweiss still had a fear of toy spiders. He turned his head to look at Rosweiss and reached out his hand to her. "If you're still scared, do you want to hold Leon's hand and sleep?" Upon hearing Leon calling her, Rosweiss turned her head to look at him as well. Although listening to Leon's words, Rosa slightly widened her eyes and felt a little surprised. She didn't expect Leon to proactively offer to help her. She stared at him blankly, then glanced at his hands. She opened her mouth to say something, but hesitated for a moment. Then Rosweiss, who was lying flat on the bed, changed to lying on her side and faced Leon. She had already decided what to say to him. She closed her eyes and told him with a slightly disgusted tone, "My, since you said that." Although her expression looked reluctant, she seemed to accept Leon's suggestion. Hearing what Rosweiss said, Leon gave her a smile. It was rare for him to see her being so frank. Rosweiss extended her left hand and carefully grasped Leon's right little finger. Leon found it strange that Rosweiss only held onto one of his fingers. He looked at her and said to her with an unhappy tone, "How can you feel secure holding only one little finger?" Rosweiss was puzzled by Leon's words. He took the initiative to suggest that she could hold his hand, but now he was dissatisfied with her behavior. She felt a little angry. She quickly approached him and said to him, "How do you want to hold it?" Leon broke free from Rosweiss's hand and held her palm with his own. He slid his fingers between hers, interlacing them in a tender clasp. Leon tightly held on to her hand and confirmed that there were no issues before saying to her, "Fool, you should hold it like this." Rosa looked at Leon with a slightly surprised expression and couldn't say a word of rebuttal. She didn't expect him to hold her hand so directly. Leon looked at her with a smile and didn't find it strange that he was holding Rosweiss's hand. Rather, he held her hand very naturally now, without any other thoughts. However, Rosweiss's current thoughts were different from Leon's. She closed her eyes tightly and turned her head to one side, not wanting to look at Leon's face. A deepening blush spread across her face, making her feel as though her cheeks were on fire. Leon's action made her notice that her emotions had become very strange. She silently said in her heart, "How can he just hold my hand so casually? Is it only me who feels uncomfortable?" Rosweiss's thoughts were a jumbled mess. She shook her head, trying to calm herself down. "No, as the Silver Dragon Queen, I dare to do anything. I'm just holding hands with him. What's so embarrassing about this?" Although she said these words to comfort herself, it didn't seem to have any effect. She lay flat on the bed with her eyes tightly closed and a furrowed brow. She didn't want Leon to know that her thoughts were so chaotic at this moment. Although Leon was also trying to fall asleep with his eyes closed, his face had a relaxed expression. When he felt a different sensation in Rosweiss's hand, he chuckled softly in his heart. He started joking with her. "Why are your hands always so cold?" Upon hearing Leon's question, Rosa became a bit nervous. She replied to him unhappily, "I'm born with a cold body. Are you nervous? Why are your palms still sweaty? It's you."